So I've been hearing a lot of people saying that ever since the year 2020, and not just the year of 2020, but just the time frame of 2020 and 2021, that everything has just gotten worse, or not even just worse, but everything has changed. And you're objectively right for thinking that because I'm picking up what you're putting down, buddy. There's some afoot here, and I don't appreciate it. But but no. So bad shit has been happening since 2020, and that goes without saying. I mean, if we're going to look at that era of time specifically, we had COVID-19, we had the raiding of the Capitol, we had the complete execution of George Floyd, we had the Amazon rainforest, being on fire. I could go on and on and on and on, but bad things, so many bad and horrible things happened in that frame of time. It came to a point where we just accepted that bad shit was going to happen, and that sometimes we couldn't do anything about it. Subconsciously, we as a people just accepted that everywhere. Because, first of all, I'm 22 now. It's 2026. It's the very first of 2026 when I'm recording this video. I was during this period of time, I was in high school. I was in my junior year of high school where we got an email saying, "Hey, we're gonna be off for like 2 weeks," and then a year and a half passed, and next thing I knew it, I was a senior graduating high school. I didn't graduate high school on like a laptop or anything. We did this very like 6 feet apart. Like, we were still there in person, but 6 feet apart. You remember how it was. You were there, but we just accepted that shit out of our hands was gonna happen, and we just kind of like, even after COVID ended, we just kept pushing forward with that mindset. And we've had that mindset for such a long time. It's come to the point where we really don't get phased by bad news anymore, and I mean that in the worst way possible. I don't expect people to throw away their jobs and start a revolution because bad things are happening, and we live under what's basically a dictatorship here in the states. But like, we have lives, so I don't expect anyone to just do that willy-nilly. But we've accepted the circumstances that we're under, and we've accepted them for a very long time. We've been conditioned. That's thoroughly what I believe. I believe that span of time, 2020 through 2021, conditioned us for bad things to happen. And the 1% has been taking advantage of that for a very long time. And on top of that, the escalation, and this is going to be more of a Doctor Who, like, game theory type of thing that I'm just going to throw out there. Like, this is less so of an actual real thing and more of a gut feeling. But time itself, the escalation of time just feels weird. Like, I know I sound like a freaking like Silent Hill protagonist when I say that, but like, the escalation of time is just strange. So like 2020, 2021, I remember that. 2025, I remember that because it was literally yesterday. Again, I'm recording this January 1st, 2026. 2023 and 2024, I don't remember it, and I don't wanna remember it. It was so weird, and it was so bad for me, and I don't wanna think about it. Every time I try to think about it, my head hurts, and I think I just shouldn't think about it. But it the overall escalation of time has changed because the days have been going by faster, the years have been going by faster, and for some reason, we can't really explain why. For me personally, like I said, I graduated high school in 2021. So, uh, and after that, I didn't go to college. I've been, going from job to job ever since. So I think, me personally, why it feels that way for me was because when I graduated high school, I lost, that sense of needed structure. You know what I mean? Like, that sense of structure that's forced on you. Like, yeah, I got a job currently, and that is a sense of structure that is forced on me. But like, not with the same, I don't know, like, intent that school did, if that made any sense. I don't know. But no, time just feels so strange now, and I feel like with the combined just effort of time going by faster now and all these bad things happening, I feel like we as a people have also gotten a little meaner to each other. These past few years, not even just 2020, but these past few years have subconsciously created a level of paranoia within all of us. Because, I mean, the thing about poverty is that poverty inevitably creates anxiety. And that's usually just how it goes. Like that's just the story of it. Like if I have to choose between uh do I want to get a beer later or hey, what am I going to eat tomorrow? Then yeah, that's pretty messed up. And yeah, obviously the right answer is no, figure out where you're going to eat tomorrow. But the fact is that that's something that I have to choose between something that's necessary versus something that's pleasure is a little skewed. Like, yeah, sure, of course, feeding yourself is more important, but everybody deserves to enjoy themselves every now and then. Like if I want to go to the 7-Eleven get myself a donut or something, I should be able to do that without having to think about, hey, how much is my electricity bill going to cost next month? You know what I mean? But to go back to people being more hostile towards each other, I think that's not. I don't think that's just the general passage of time doing that. I also think there's a hand of social media within that too. And I think I'm probably gonna end up making like a separate video essay about that entirely because to be honest, it does deserve its own separate video essay because I could take that subject into a whole different myriad of different places because I've seen it, man. People are just, and I'm not even talking about first class because yeah, well, I'm not even talking about the 1%, but like fuck the 1%. They're always going to be cruel. But we as middle class or lower class citizens have gotten a lot crueler to each other, especially if we know that the other person we're talking about doesn't make as much money as us. But again, like I said, that whole subject deserves its own video. But if I had to try to narrow it down to like one or two things on like why I think we're more crueler and just more paranoid to each other, it's because of the sheer lack of trust. There's no more trust. The fact is that we as Americans can no longer trust our own government. We can't. That's just a matter of fact. We can't. I'm not gonna get into why. We all know why, but we can't trust our own government. So the fact is that if we can't trust the people whom we give our taxes to, if we can't trust the people that house us and protect us, what does that mean for trusting the people that are our neighbors? What does that mean for trusting everybody else? Well, it means we can still trust them. We should still be able to trust them perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, I think now more than ever, we should be trusting our neighbors. I think it is now more important than it has ever been in this day and age to trust and and love thy neighbor. I think that's very important. But we just there has been a loss of trust from the people to whom we are governed by, and it's sad. And if I'm gonna tie this all together with a pretty little bow, I think the worst pout, the worst pout. That's all, folks. But I'm sorry, but I think the worst part about all of this is that we have accepted long-term grit with little to no reward. The the thing behind pain, more specifically, pain working the idea of pain working towards a goal is perfectly fine because we know we're working towards something. You know what I mean? Let's take uh let's take exercising for example. The reason why exercising is 100% not only necessary but just valid in today's day and age is because we know that hey, if I do X amount of push-ups today, every day for X amount of time, one day I'm going to get a little bit bigger. That's payoff. We're okay with pain because we know we're going to get payoff. 2020 changed that. We don't know that anymore. Uh, like exercising, of course, exercising is not going anywhere. The government's not going to just, magically take your muscles. They're not going to just magically strip your biceps out of your arms. So, I mean, you're going to be perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, like, they not yet. They're not doing that yet. They might later. I don't know. But if if we're gonna change that to something like college, for example, college does not guarantee you a job in the field that you are working for. And even before the year of 2020, that was known, but now more than ever, it has gotten worse with the overall rise of AI and that just taking away people's jobs. Which that's another thing that I forgot to talk about. AI, the general rise of AI taking away people's jobs and making the future even more and more unclear as time goes on. That should have been the first thing I talked about because, I'm an artist and, I want to do it professionally, but oh well. Anyways, what was I talking about? Yeah, we have accepted grit with little to no reward. We have accepted the fact that the pain that I feel today may not lead into anything tomorrow, and that is spiritually defeating. That is absolutely sad. It really is. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom at this point because, at the end of the day, you have a lot of Gen Zs like me, and not even just Gen Zs or like millennials, but, anybody can do this. But we have a lot of people just trying to, as they say, build their own ladder, trying to make a name for themselves. I feel like my generation has, especially, is starting to see things more clearly now more than ever, or any other generation before us. And I'm really grateful to be a part of this generation, despite it all, because I, I'm really grateful that we can see the world for what it is. We can change it, you know, we can change it, but I think before that, we need to change ourselves. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I don't know what this video was. Uh, keep your head up, man. Just keep your head up. These are weird, strange times we're living in, man. These are strange times we're living in. No pun intended, haha. But no, no, literally. These are really weird, strange times we're living in. And if there's like any piece of advice I could give you, be kind to people, man. Just be nice to people. You literally have no idea what other people are going through. And I promise you, in today's day and age, absolutely everybody is going through something. Everybody's going through something. No matter how young, how old, even if it's little Timmy at the basketball court, playing a little b-ball, looks perfectly fine. You know, every now and then you gotta ask that motherfucker how he's doing mentally, because we're all going through something. Absolutely everybody. But yeah, check on your people, man. Be kind. This is the stranger signing out. That's not gonna catch on. That was so corny. That's not gonna catch on.